Hi everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. Today I'm going to be doing a review on Dickinson and the Demented Life of Frenchie Garcia by Torres Sanchez. That title is seriously a mouthful to say. This story follows Frenchie Garcia over the summer after her senior year of high school, I believe. Basically, Frenchie Garcia was the last person to see one of her classmates, Andy Cooper, right before he committed suicide, and so she has sort of been dealing with that situation, and no one in her life actually knows that she was the last person to see him alive, and so she's sort of been dealing with that situation all alone. And this book basically just follows her as she handles that situation and tries to, I guess, deal with it or just sort it out in her mind of what happened and if she could have done anything about it. As many of you know, if you've been watching my videos, I read this during Bout of Books, and I actually read this right after reading Looking for Alaska by John Green, and I feel like there are a lot of comparisons I made in my brain between this book and Looking for Alaska, and I'm not sure if I made those connections just because I read them back to back or if it actually does have like real connections. I mean, there are certain aspects of the story that are similar, and if you've read Looking for Alaska you can probably guess what those situations are, especially the second half of Looking for Alaska really parallels or has similarities to what happens in this story. I will admit that there are two big reasons I picked this book up. One, because the cover is beautiful, and the second reason is because I really wanted to read more diverse YA books, and seeing that the author was Hispanic and the main character was Hispanic, I picked the story up. But this story doesn't really deal with race at all. There's also a mixed race character in here, which I thought was really interesting, but I just think that it's interesting that those aspects are in this story without it being the story itself, which is always really nice. I liked this book, but I didn't necessarily love this book. I wanted more out of it. I think that the concept itself was really good and the characters were interesting and the writing was really well done, but I feel like it was too short and it didn't go into the ideas and the mourning and all of that goes into when you're dealing with someone's death. It doesn't really delve into it too deeply. I feel like it was a very quick glance into Frenchie Garcia's life, and that's a really weird thing to say because you kind of flash back and forth in time. Some of the chapters are back from the night before Andy Cooper kills himself, and some of them are from present day Frenchie Garcia trying to deal with the situation and dealing with just other things that are happening with her friends. This book is only about 200 and something pages long. I think it's 270-ish pages long, but the writing inside is also relatively big and there's big spacing in here, so I feel like there could have been a lot more story around this and I would have been significantly more satisfied with that than I was with this. I think I just liked it so much, which is probably a compliment, and I just wanted more because I feel like there could be more told about Frenchie Garcia before this had happened and then after it had happened. I feel like her friends in this story are all really interesting, but you don't really get to know them that well. I think even Andy Cooper himself is a really interesting character, but again, you don't really know that much about him, and that's partially done on purpose, and you can see the results of that in the story. But I feel like there was just a lot of potential in this story that it didn't quite live up to all I wanted the story to be in the end. And again, I'm not saying that this is a bad book by any means whatsoever. I like the writing, I like the characters, and I like the concept of the story itself. I just think there could have been more. Like if Torres Sanchez was to write another book and you would get like a prequel to what their lives were like before the situation or anything like that, I happily would read that book because I feel like there is a lot of depth that could be explored in another book or in even just a longer version of this book. In the end, I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars. Again, I liked it. I didn't love it. I would recommend this book. I feel like if you like Looking for Alaska, this is a really good book to pick up that's in a similar vein, but I wouldn't necessarily say like buy this book right away. It might be a book you might want to check out from local library, or it might be a really good book to pick up if you're looking for, again, more diverse reads. I don't think this book necessarily is a disappointing book, but I think it's just one of those situations where, again, I saw a potential for more and I just wanted it to reach that potential and it didn't. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Dickinson and the Demented Life of Frenchie Garcia. That title, guys. If you read this book, feel free to leave your comments down below letting me know what you thought of it, or if you have any questions, feel free to leave those down in the comment section as well. So yeah, that's all I have for now. Thanks for watching.